Hey guys, Simon Bryson here, and in about 2 years, I moved out about 4 times. It cost me a lot of money, I made a lot of mistakes, and if I could do it all over again, I would have done it a lot more different. So in this video right here, I'll tell you exactly 10 tips when it comes to budgeting for your first apartment or whatever apartment you're on right now. And on top of that, I'll give you general ideas when it comes to shopping for an apartment, because guess what? It's not just about the budgeting, it's also about, hey, is this a nice, good, safe place to actually live? And by the way, number 4 is by far the most important one, but my favorite and the most controversial one has to be number 9. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. And on top of that, also make sure you smash the like button. Now, number 1, guys, is whenever you're actually going to get an apartment, make sure between the apartment rent, the fees, and on top of that, make sure it's no more than 33% of your monthly income. And the idea is because, hey, you might spend like a third of your income on an apartment, but you also want to have enough money left over so you can save for when it's time for you to actually go out there and buy your own property. I've seen people where they get a fancy apartment and then basically half their check goes towards an apartment and they have to pay for their lifestyle, and before you know it, they're living paycheck to paycheck and they don't have room for saving up to actually buy a home or a condo or whatever they actually want. So they will be renting for a very long time. Now, number 2, guys, is going to be have at least a 3-month emergency account before you actually move out or get this apartment. This is because basically you can get an apartment right now and you have a solid job, but what happens if something happens, okay? So if you have at least 3 months of your expenses, you're able to have some buffer room to actually figure out exactly what your next move is going to be. On top of that, also, number 3, if you are not sure about where you want to live, but right now you just need a place to live, make sure you get a flexible lease. Meaning, instead of getting, for example, a 12-month lease, get a 6-month lease or a 3-month lease or a month-to-month lease, okay? Why? Because, hey, if you change your mind about living somewhere, you don't want to be out of all of your money, the deposit for breaking the lease and so on, or potentially getting sued. So this way, if you change your mind, you can always just, for example, move out. And if the lease expires, you could always just renew it or go on a month-to-month basis. So my mom has been living in an apartment for like the past 4 years or so, and her lease now is just on a month-to-month basis now, okay? So that's pretty cool in case she actually wants to move out, but it also means the landlord could kick you out. So if you get a 6-month lease and then you find out, I actually love this place, make sure to renegotiate to actually get 6 more months or a 12-month lease if you are positive you actually want to live in that area. Now, number 4 is you want to make sure you move late. By the way, this is by far the most important thing, okay? Whenever you get an apartment, the first thing you want to do is you want to start furnishing up everything and go on Wayfair and buy this and buy that, okay? Don't do that, okay? Travel light, because again, you're just renting. You're in a place where it's not really yours and you might have to move out or whatever, okay? But the point is, I would recommend get all your furniture from Facebook. I don't know, or Craigslist, or whatever is actually a used furniture place in your area, even like a garage sale. I have a friend and he has like his own home and he goes on Facebook all the time and buys things from people that basically thought they were gonna live there forever, and they sell their flat screen TVs, their sofas, their mattresses that cost over $1,000, and they're selling it for cheap because they can no longer basically stay in the apartment, and where they're moving, that queen or king size mattress doesn't fit anymore. So the point is, get all your furniture from used places, and on top of that, just travel light overall. This way it can be more flexible and you can be more portable when you're actually going to move, and you don't have to pay a bunch of moving costs, okay? Now, number 5 is, so if you got in value so far, I'm gonna ask for a favor: subscribe to the channel, because only like 20% of the people that watch are actually subscribed. So go ahead and subscribe right now because I have a lot more content. Now, number 5 is be picky and don't be desperate when looking for locations, okay? So basically, when I got my first apartment, guys, I put myself in a bad situation. I had about a month to actually move out, and every time I made calls, like, apartments were just not answering, because back then there was basically a low supply of apartments and a lot of people wanted to rent, so I was not basically in the right market for that. But overall, do not be impatient, do not be desperate, and do not grab an apartment in a location which you're not happy with just because you want to get into it very quickly, very fast, okay? Because you will regret it. So when I got my first apartment and I was there paying a bunch of money, I was like, I could have basically gone somewhere else, paid less money, gotten a bigger apartment, but here I am in this crappy apartment because I rushed into it, okay? Don't fall for that rushing into things, okay? Be very careful, be patient, and just look through listings until you find what you actually want. You won't find what you really want, like it won't be perfect, but look for your main things, okay? Like the location, the space, and basically that you feel safe, okay? Those are the main important facts there. Now, number 6, guys, is budget for renters insurance, okay? So the landlord is not going to have this, like he has his own insurance, but you should actually get your own renter's insurance in case, something happens like a fire or a flood or somebody enters and breaks into your apartment. You never know what's going to happen. So having renter's insurance helps out a lot. When I had renter's insurance, I had, for example, like Lemonade, which is the company I used to use, but don't just go with my word for it. Compare different companies and find the ones that work the best for you. And when getting renter's insurance, don't cover absolutely everything. Cover like the necessities because you don't want to be stuck paying a bunch of money monthly for something that might not actually happen, okay? So cover the basics, so if something does happen, you're good to go, but don't cover, for example, everything, but then you're stuck with like this high, crazy payment every single month, okay? So yeah, renter's insurance is super important. Now, number 7, guys, is go with a friend to the location where you're looking at nighttime, because sometimes you might go somewhere in the daytime and in the nighttime it might be a completely different area. So grab your car, obviously, and if you don't drive, then go at night, but be careful, obviously, and check out the area and see how nice it is, okay? When I used to live in the Bronx, in the daytime my area looked very normal, and in the nighttime it was like, it was the Bronx, it was not that safe, but at least I knew where I was actually living. But if you think one thing and then you get there and you're like, yo, what is going on here? Well, you're probably not going to like it, okay? And by the way, it is what it is, okay? You're not gonna find like the safest place ever unless you're willing to pay some money. And even the safest place ever is still open to robberies and things going wrong, okay? But you do want to move somewhere where you do feel safe and they do have, for example, low crime rates, okay? That's also important. Now, guys, number 8 is one you don't want to ignore, and it's basically when you're moving out, make sure you by yourself can afford to pay the rent. And I don't recommend you moving, for example, with a girlfriend unless it's your wife. It's a bad idea. It's a very stupid idea. Trust me, do not do it, okay? Only move out with your wife, live with your wife in an apartment, and when you're buying a home, only buy a home with your wife. Don't buy homes with people you have no contractual obligations with, like a girlfriend or whatever, because things can happen and you can break up. But even if you move in, for example, with the homies, the answer is make sure you can actually cover the rent on your own, because if the homies lose their job and they can't pay, you gotta have enough money in your wallet to be able to pay. My friend, he lives in an apartment. Well, it's like a 3-family home that he actually owns, and he lives at the bottom. And he rents like rooms out there, but his own like income can cover the whole mortgage. That's the goal, so you don't want to be, hey, Todd isn't paying this month, we can't pay the rent. You don't want to be in that situation. And on top of that is, make sure if you're going to be moving with the homies, make sure the lease is in your name. So in case things don't work out, you can always just kick them out of your apartment. That happened with, for example, my mom. When we actually moved out for the first time, this is New York, it's very common. She got this apartment with a friend, and it's like a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom situation. So I got a bedroom, her friend got a bedroom, and my mom got a space, which we call it a bedroom, okay? But that's what happens in New York. It's so small, you turn a living room into like a bedroom, And then at a certain point, the lady started acting up, and my mom was like, well, you gotta dip, you gotta leave, because the lease is in my name. And then in the beginning, she wanted the lease to be in her name, but my mom was astute enough to be like, hey, That's not gonna happen, okay? So yeah, make sure the lease is in your name. You can fully afford it. So if it doesn't work out, you can kick them out and get somebody else, okay? Your friends, your homies, they can be your homies today, but you don't know how your homie's gonna act when they're tight on money, all right? So be very careful with that. Now, number 9, which by far is the most controversial one, like I told you guys, is don't get a pet, okay? So when you first move out, you're probably going to want to do everything that your parents didn't allow you to do, whatever, and you're probably going to want to get a pet, whether it's a dog, a cat, a mouse, whatever you actually want to get. Don't do it, okay? So animals are a big responsibility. They're expensive and they're a massive inconvenience. Tommy, you sound selfish, okay? You sound messed up. The answer is I'm being truthful, and I come from experience, okay? When I first moved out, I kept thinking about getting like a dog or something like that. And then when I moved out to my second apartment, I actually got a cat. I rescued a cat, and I was like, well, this cat is lonely. Might as well get him another cat. Now my cat has a friend, and now I'm stuck with 2 cats that basically pee and poop inside of my house, and there's hair everywhere. If I want to travel, I can't travel. So I had to get rid of them cats, okay? Now, I don't mean like I got rid of them, you know, but people often have to do those things because they're rushing to those responsibilities. And by the way, cats live for around 15 years, okay? I'm just being real. But now those cats are in possession by my mom. My mom actually took the cats in and they live with her. But for me, man, I am not doing pets anymore. Like, unless I'm like in a stable home or whatever, where I'm gonna live there like forever or whatever, I'm not doing pets, you know, because they're massive responsibility, they're very expensive, and they're a massive inconvenience. It's like having a kid, but with no benefit in reality, okay? I'm just being real honest, okay? I know people like look at their pets like they're like people and family, but I'm just being serious. If you're young and you wanna do flexible things like travel and do this and do that, you might not be able to do that because you always have to travel with the dog or leave it at a pet hotel. So if that's not within your budget, don't do it. My cousin, he has a dog. The dog lives with him in New York, and he takes the dog out for walks or whatever, but the dog's like basically in his living room. I don't like that aspect, but he says, Tommy, I like my dog. Whenever I travel with my dog. So he's willing, and he knows what that entails, and he likes it, okay? So for him, that's good. But for me, it just doesn't make any sense, okay? So be very, very careful when it comes to getting a pet. Wait at least like a year or 2 years before you actually pull that trigger, because once you pull it, there's only 2 ways. Well, there's 3 ways to get out of it, okay? You can give away the animal like I did to my parents and they were willing to take it. You can put it up for adoption, and sometimes they're not adopted and they're basically taken care of, or you can try to sell it or leave it somewhere, and I don't recommend that because you never really know who that dog is going to stay with, okay, or that animal is going to be with. So you got to be very, very careful with that, okay? So for the most part, I just would not do it. Now, number 10, and the last one is, and this video is actually sponsored by me. If you want to support the channel and also get exclusive videos and also discount codes to my courses and content overall, join me on Patreon. I'm going to put the link down below. Back to the video. Now, number 10, and the last one is conduct a walkthrough. Now, this basically means I know someone right now. My friend just rented his apartment, well, a room in his apartment, without the guy ever showing up to see the apartment, okay? The guy was like, show me pictures of the room. Showed him pictures of the room. He's like, okay, I like it, and sent him the deposit. But this guy has no idea about where he's going to live, or if my friend is a psychopath or whatever. No, don't do that, okay? You go, take your butt over there with the landlord and take a look at that area, okay? Look at the area, look at the apartment, do a walkthrough, test the water, test the toilet, test everything, take pictures of the entire apartment, and then if you like it, you basically go ahead and subscribe to the lease or whatever. But don't ever do that because you're stuck and you sign up for something not knowing exactly what you're actually signing up for. And once you sign a dotted line, it is too late to make, for example, decisions like, I take it back. You can't take it back anymore, okay? So be very, very careful. But guys, overall, those are 10 tips that I would take. And if I had taken these tips, I wouldn't have made those many mistakes. I got cats. I moved out several times. I broke leases. I did a lot of these mistakes, okay? So my point is, don't make them. This way you can be a lot better off than I was early on. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. And as always, long-term team officially out. It's embarrassing, man, but I'd rather you guys learn from my mistakes than you guys